Hello, everyone. I'm here in the Divine Healing Studio with a channel message for you today. So, the message that I'm getting to share with you all is about energy, which a majority of the things that I talk about will be related to energy, just precursor going forward, like as we have these red light sessions. Um, Yesterday, I channeled a message after I was working on, doing data entry, and I was setting up my profile and stuff online. And when I finished going through the whole process, I realized how drained I was afterwards. And in that moment, I had a revelation. It just came through, just download instantly. And it made me understand data entry is deeper than what people think it is. Because everything is energy, everything is data. And to understand how we are co-creators of the system, all of the information that we create by our actions, our thoughts that we input into the system creates the system, and that's data. So the reason why the laws around people's data and having access to people's usage data is all based on how people think and what they desire. And that gives the ruling empire, corporations, you know what I'm saying, corrupt industry, more information to be able to control how people think and what they buy. And this all goes into the digital ID system, all of this, the whole system that they're creating in general that's been being built, but it's not going to last. It's not going to stand. So there's going to be a clear separation in society of people who are going to be ruled by the system by giving away their sovereignty, by taking an implant that allows the system to basically cut off their connection to source and loop their spirit into a fixed illusory reality. Like we've already been living in an illusion, but the greater illusion will come from people being bonded with the more severe technology. But I mean, it won't look severe on the surface, but the level of control and what it will do does have some extreme level of diabolical outcomes associated with it. Everything does boil down to free will. Everything does boil down to people's individual choices, which is why everybody being on the same wavelength as a collective matters to the society shift going in the right direction. But because everybody's not going to agree or feel the same thing, that's why there's going to be a separation. And it's like two different connections. So as the separation of worlds, as they say, is coming to place, but ultimately it's going to be a process to where nobody's left behind. So it'll be those who go ahead and then those who come back to try to bring others across and lead them, as I'm doing by just sharing, because everything matters that you share. Like the information you share is critical. It's critical based on who you share it with as well, and knowing where a person is in their growth cycle to know where that will be applied correctly or effectively, or if it will create more destruction because the person doesn't have a certain level of wisdom at the point they are to acclimate to that. So Going back to the original point about data, everything that everybody has done, just let's just go past 100 years of information that built the system. This whole infrastructure has been recycling the information from one generation to the next, which is why each generation that comes after is basically built by the information that is from the generation before that they've processed and compressed and calculated and reevaluated to continue their generational plan of global dominance. But with each generation, you have liberation in the consciousness. And as everything returns back to source in its original consciousness, then that's how we are getting to the level of consciousness that everybody is reaching now. Everybody is not going to experience this the same way, even with everybody having different roles and even with the people being guided and being brought online, it's not going to still be experienced in the same caliber for everybody. Like everything is going to be different based on a plethora of different things about a person's makeup or their emanation or essence of light or whatever, or their vibration or what they descend from, what they're connected to, or their past life, whether they're an ancient soul or a new soul, whether they incarnated as a plant and animal, you know what I'm saying? The variations of wisdoms and incarnations is still all connect from source, but they still are different separate emanations. So depending on where a person is in their cycle and the purpose in which they chose to incarnate, determines how people relate to what information that will bring them through. Okay, so a good guiding information source that everybody really needs to understand is anime. Anime is a prevalent source of information that pretty much gives a lot of these explanations and breakdowns of these things that are going to happen before they happen. I mean, even though it's like time is not linear as it's been explained, it's more like everything is now. But everything is still relative to where your mind focuses and where you co-create. But a lot of the things that are in anime are based on these divine relative truths of things that don't ever change. And even though we've been on many worlds, many earths, many versions of this system, a lot of core information stays the same. So anime holds a lot of these divine secrets, and it's easy to listen and watch a bunch of different people say things, but I feel like one of the best precursors for everything that is happening or that is to come, or to really like hone and understand your energy, is from anime. Back to the point about data entry. Data entry is a term that they simplified how everything that you are a part of is energy harvesting. Everything that you do harvests your energy, and you are a limitless source of power as you're connected to source. Now, when a person becomes connected to the system, they're going to be really binded to the system and separated from source, which means that they will no longer be able to be immortal or eternal. They'll also need some external power source the same way as your phone does, or the same way like a vampire needs blood in order to stay alive, which is so funny because they're immortal. How you're immortal but you still need blood? How you're immortal but you are dying the sun? How you're immortal but I can put a stake through your heart? Crazy, right? The contradictions. People just don't really pay attention enough to these things when they be obvious. But clearly, understanding the different layers of technology that have existed since ancient times, that we have been under the illusion of not knowing, but still being under the illusion of thinking it's real. All of this has been a fixed system that has trapped our souls and our energy into a recurring cycle that everybody feel like is real. So this is why everybody is a part of co-creating this reality, but co-creating this reality by choice to keep it sustained as an illusion, which is why everybody has to wake up and attune to a higher vibration. The data that has been collected from everything that people have done has also, again, been used to keep them enslaved for generation after generation after generation. You know, creating fake holidays, creating fake dates, create all of the things that they use to measure time is part of the illusion that creates the falseness of it itself. And the saying that there's nothing new under the sun is very much the truth as it should be understood when it's said. All the data that has already been collected is what still pretty much controls society. And whenever you're a rebel or you're divergent, you are acting outside of the system. It's always better to be out of the box than in the box, because outside of it, you're limitless. In it, you're only bound by the walls that create the box. So that's how this reality has been for a lot of people. Everybody's been in a box. And in this greater awakening, the data that's been collected to use this hyper divine technology to keep everybody in the illusion is now being distorted and destroyed so that now everybody can have and maintain their own divine superior connection. So as much as you, prime example, okay. Now, different ways of how data is energy transfer, like all forms of it, like from going in the store buying stuff to a person online, a person watching TV shows or whatever. They count the views. Why do they count the views? Because you pay attention, and you paying attention is allowing them to collect data, but it's still a form of currency from your attention, because your awareness creates the reality. And if awareness can be controlled, then a person can build whatever world or reality that they want to. So that's where the illusion is being created by a person's thoughts and the direction of their thoughts being controlled. It creates an illusionary reality. So the whole term being woke or waking up is waking up from a distorted dream to a real reality of one that you align with, of things that you truly like want and need, not based on false physical definement of things, but like how things actually are meant to be. There's so much to this. Okay, so the data entry goes all the way back to, let's start with school. Okay, in school, you basically do school for 13 years because it's kindergarten to 12, which is 13, and everything is counted by 13. So, in the data, understanding the data about the the body, the incarnated experience or whatever, and how things work in cycles, they know that if by controlling from like 5 or 6 primary energy points of the incarnation, and by filtering your individual experience from being one that is controlled by your own will, then they create this continued society that is the illusion. But if everybody was able to just live of their own free will and experience without a system controlling them, then nothing in this world would be an illusion. Everything would be real. So, because the system that has had everything enslaved and created this distortion is about to go away, all of that memory doesn't just go away, or all of that energy doesn't go away. Because after the distortion goes away, then comes the real reality. And this is where things are going to be very hard for people. So going back to the data entry, a lot of what you are have been fed into outside things that have been cultivated by your energy. So if the data that you've been entering into outside things all of a sudden was to just, if those things that were taking your energy don't exist anymore, and all of the data that you were giving out, all of the information, energy you're putting out, just rapidly flows back to you, what do you think that would do? Like if you didn't have to write your ideas out, if you didn't have to make videos, if you didn't have to put any information or energy into the system outside of yourself, and all of it was contained within, what do you think that would do? You're about to find out. You're about to find out. Everyone is about to understand how powerful everything truly is, and not just the baby back bullshit version of what you think is just a fantasy. It's like, even the things they've told you in the movie is like, nothing compared to the reality. It's like, sometimes with your phone, you try to get a good picture of like the sunset, but it's nothing like when you're looking at it yourself. But then sometimes the camera can catch light that you don't see with your eyes, but it still don't necessarily mean it look better than what you see for yourself. So the way that people have thought things to be, and once people really truly see what it is, it's going to be similar to that. Like, oh, it looks amazing in the movie, but when it's real, it feels like that. But for this experience, what we're going to have now is going to be kind of the opposite of that, where you thought that the real version of it was watered down and the movie was more glorious or such a more vivid or crazy experience to just watch it. Now it's in this transition to the energy to where you're living that. Like everything that you felt about movies, like that excitement, the ride, the joy of the experience, the climax, the cliffhanger, all of that energy that you've been feeling outside of yourself, like that the data that people put into the system outside of themselves that's created these different scenarios off of individual people's story. Now, again, when you have all the information returned back to you, what do you think that will do? I mean, if the real experience is greater than what we see in the movie, and we have movies that really kind of give some idea of what it is, because all of that ain't just make-believe. What is make-believe? Just something made that you believed. Because if you believed it, you received it and you achieved it. So you made it. You can make anything you believe in. The whole source of magic is belief. So again, people believing in a lie still created an illusion. Yeah, it's again deeper than what you think, because you don't think deep enough to see. And now that's where it will be. So where everybody has fed all this data into the illusion, when that all returns back to you, how do you think that would be? Because if it's nothing outside of you that's being created that's false anymore, and now everything you feel and think you know you create is real, how does that make you feel? What do you think that will do if everything that you thought and feel just came true in an instant? This is another reason why it would be very important that everybody reaches a higher state of ascension. Because if the energy that you think and feel manifests at will, we don't want to live in a world where all that is malevolent or nefarious, or an experience where you're just living and then in fear of being killed. We've already done that. That is over. So, again, as I said, anime gives the best understanding of the experience to just give a clearer insight to make it even easier. Look at the anime that has reincarnated in another world. Any anime that talks about reincarnation into another world, if that's in the title of the anime, just Google it, search it, look for anime that where the person reincarnates in another world in any form. If look in the bio of the anime, if that's when you read it and it explains what the anime is about, it says okay. Because again, all of these are very critical to understanding this process of what's happening. Because trying to fathom reincarnation, people always want to speculate different things. But if you understand that you just go from one vessel to another vessel, but you remember everything, and then now you're creating in a whole new reality, and it goes beyond even what you would think to see. It's pretty amazing. But the anime will help you see. The time I got reincarnated as a slime, that's a good one. Start there. It's one of my favorites. The point ultimately is this. The change is going to happen regardless. It's not a one person decision thing. It's the higher collective energies, divine cycles and principalities and things and celestial bodies and higher dimensions and things that all still affect the lower as much as the lower affects the higher. But again, it's just not one single individual thing. It's multiple things that affect the other thing. And because all of these things are coming into alignment, that's what you're about to see. So again, imagine, start to see it. Imagine if all the information that you put out, all the data, all the energy that you gave out, returned to your being, how do you think that will be? You're about to see. But again, this is why all of the talk about being one with yourself and aligning and healing trauma and letting go and forgiveness is because you want to be made whole. You want to be completely one. you don't want to be at a point where all you feel is that. To put it simply, it's not something that you will want to be accelerated or radiated, like immensely so, even though people got to feel what they feel. But if that was all you are and that was all you will, was just lack, fear, whatever would be considered bad that does not create harmony or heal, if that's all what you had to feel, you wouldn't want that. So that's why it's pretty important right now to process through the things that you don't want to carry with you, because you don't want that. Like, that's not a difficult thing to feel or understand. Whatever you don't want to feel, let it go. Forgive whatever the source is so you don't have to carry it anymore for yourself. Forgiveness is for you. It's not about everything else, even though other things benefit in the forgiveness. That is true, but it's not about anyone else. It's for you. So do what you need to do. Keep yourself true, and you will be able to carry yourself through. I'm, again, always here as your loving guide and friend. But the journey, my dear loving souls, starts within. I can only guide you where you have already chose to go. And I will only give you the answers in which you truly seek to know. So it starts with you. Everybody has a part in it. But all the data, energy, information that people have put into the false illusion, it's time to no longer be a part of it. You want all that power and energy and knowledge and creativity to return to yourself. Speak it. Speak that everything that has been stolen from you returns to you now. So it is. We are abundance. We are endless beings of light. And we come from source and we create from light, which means every thought you think creates what you see and what you be. So this is why, again, you got to start really aligning with a pure harmony and synchronicity, not things that you clearly don't want to be. Because if everything you watch and see is creating a reality that you don't want to see, then you need to change those things. The whole reason why people follow influencers is because a person is looking for another way to live outside of whatever their current situation is. But it doesn't matter, because whatever you see is whatever that person's reality is, and you're just seeing a outside reflection of it, but it's still based on what they chose to make it. And everybody has their own individual journey and reality that they're meant to create, and it's not supposed to be in hate or lack or stress or you know what I'm saying, or strain, any of those things that do not allow you to gain or be aligned or create from love or sustain. As a God, you are a generator, an operator, and a destroyer. But in the operator, you sustain. So it's important to be able to sustain as much as you create and destroy. And that's where the data has an important role in that exchange, because from your thoughts you generate, and from the usage you operate, and the wastefulness you just destroy. But you're not controlling how you operate it. That's what is the ploy. So understand how important your data is. Understand how important your energy is. Understand how important they are all the same thing. What you pay attention to is what you create from it. If money is an energy, then mastering your mindset and your emotions is how you conquer it. Fuel for thought and not the opposite. Okay? Peace and love.